Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Huh? We are all Richard Allen!
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp. 5 brain cells, 4 aren't working.
It's the house!
It's dark in here. Guess it's just the way it's gonna be tonight. Dark! Yeah, it was a long day. Almost didn't even do a show because I was so tired, but it feels weird not doing one, so. Did a lot of, well, we moved the car from all the way over in Washington, my dad's car, over to their new place, and then went and visited him in his, then we went and looked at the new place and then visited his, he's in a rehab just kind of not too far from here right now, so, you know, it was just kind of lame though in the rehab how slow they are when you say, hey, can you get some water down here? And like 20 minutes later they're, you know, come in with like a little tiny cup and it's not what you asked for. I don't know, man. Just kind of, you know, sort of give up on humanity. Stupid. Anyways, Zozo was sending, you know, this is stuff that we've talked about. Both of these things we're going to talk about we've covered a long time ago. You know, the Pappa Rodgers thing, but, you know, I thought maybe it'd be interesting to look at that stuff again, now that with all the new information that we have. And then the Dana Smithers case I covered on here, that was one that for some reason they brought the parents of Kohberger in. It's just kind of interesting now. I mean, that's why we covered it back then, but there's an article that I was just looking at and I thought it'd be cool to read that and then compare it to that case and see why they may have thought that that was... Oh, you can't hear me? Testing. Oh, hold on. I don't know what's going on. That's over there. Hold on. Ah. That's crazy. They always put this stupid... How about now? Can you hear me now? Or... Yeah, they always put this one... I know, like my Windows just changes the audio driver. Alright. So anyways, these are things that we've covered. Zozo sent them to me again, but we covered these. I mean, it might be interesting to go over them again. They're from a long time ago. The whole Pappa Rodgers account, you know, if that's associated. Also the, hey, look at that, Ted Bundy sending a buy me a coffee. And then the Dana Smithers case that we covered a while ago, where it was sort of like the grand jury, you know, something associated with Kohberger made them want to look at that murder case too. So we'll take a look at that case again. It's been a long time. And then right before that I was talking about how, you know, today we had to go over, you know, to the new place my parents are staying at, and we moved his car to that facility. Then he's actually in a rehab facility, and we gotta, you know, they're just, it's just so lame in these rehab facilities, you know, like you know the little red button you can press, it takes them like 20 minutes to show up, you know, like, I don't know, man, I just feel, just shitty, the service that you get these days. But yeah, it's a later show. I almost didn't do a show, but if I can do one, I do one. So I took a nap for a while. I was pretty tired, and then tomorrow morning I have to get up early to go sort of shepherd the entire move from the movers to the new facility, etc. So anyways, if you guys want to help support the channel on this later show, that'd be great. Tomorrow's our donation night, so after around when I'm doing the move, probably at 5, that's when my wife and kids will take over. Just sort of everything will be in the place, and then it'll just be my mom saying, hey, can you guys move the couch a little bit over here? And then they'll do all that stuff, and then they'll be all over into that new facility. So there you go. So that's I don't know, my dad's kind of like he's it's just the whole situation just sucks that they're in, but he's getting better, it seems like. You just need to get him so he can feel like he can walk again and do his own stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I have two. They're technically my stepkids, but I just call them kids. We've been supporting them for 15 years, and they finally were able to come over here. They're my wife's kids. I think about what was that? 2.5 years ago, maybe. Because we did the immigration thing the correct way, not the sneak over the border bullshit. Hey! Thanks, Allie Kate. Let's see. Anyways, let's oh, and I have part 3 pretty close to finished. And the weird part about part 3 when it's doing the lap or pass number 3, there's these times where the vehicle disappears, where we don't know. It's just weird. There's one time where the car goes south twice, right over here on this road, right south here. They go south and then south again 2 minutes later. So does that mean that because the car did not go back around because it would have shown up on the Ridge Road camera. So does that mean that it turned its lights off and drove this way again and then came back again? Or is that just another vehicle that they put in there because they're not sure which one of the vehicles made it go south? Because sometimes there was, other vehicles do drive around. It's just that his vehicle was specifically stalking the house. The same one went back there. So then there's other times where the vehicle, see how I have it drive like that and I have it stopped right here. See that 3:45:25 I have it stopped because here I'll show you. I don't know what else to do with it because it doesn't show up on the Ridge Road camera again, but it does drive that way. So look, it's sitting here 3:45:34, and then takes off, turns around, and then the car comes back around. So it heads this direction, and then it comes back around this way again, back this way again. But it doesn't show up on any cameras over here. So I am interested in seeing, did it actually stop right here? Because if it drove by, wouldn't the Linda Lane camera right there have picked it up going this way? And perhaps that's why a whole bunch of it's missing, and we don't see it in the public. But wouldn't it be in the documents, the timing? Because remember, they actually have all the different timing of the camera shots. So that must mean that the vehicle stopped right here, or it drove up in this area somewhere up in here, and there's no cameras that picked it up, and then it came back this way. But there's no way to know. All they know is it went this way, and then it came back that way, and then back this way, and they know that because it doesn't show up on particular cameras, and they know that it would leave that area. It'd have to pass the cameras to have left the area. Does that make any sense to anybody? Anyways, I'm just still working on it. I think it's pretty cool though. I have it you know, it does a lot of just nutty. Here, I'll play it really fast. Let's see, the new information. Yeah, right there. Right, so this is basically what it does on the third pass. I have video also put in there. Yeah, I know, Goofy Girl. I just explained it to you. So how it comes down here. And this is all based on what it says in those new documents. So they think it does a U-turn, comes back up this direction, and there's times where it drives much quicker, and then like it pulls over right here maybe because it doesn't show up on another camera, but then you see it coming back the same direction that it came. And it would have shown up on the Linda Lane camera and the Ridge Road camera unless it took a left there and maybe went in that parking lot over there. Alright, then it comes back around this way again. And then he does another U-turn again. And then again, there's this time frame where it just sort of shows up over here. Here, let me check that out. I want to make sure that it didn't jerk. You have that jerky movement that it just... Because I had to combine a couple videos in one of these loops. Huh, that was kind of a lot of movement there. Oh yeah, I gotta fix that. Jeez, that sucks. Ugh. Let me see. How do I do this? That's probably pretty close. That backed up slightly. Why does it keep backing up? I'm just trying to make it so it's smooth. That's pretty good. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'll just have it turn around, but on that turn it would have been on Linda Lane, so I don't know. Maybe it shows up on Linda Lane or something. And it does these other turns, comes back, you know, it's just crazy. And then it finally does this again. It does it like 4 times. It goes back over and doesn't show up somewhere.
Thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to finding justice for these young people.
Thanks, Carrie Little. Did I do that again? God dang it. Oh no, it just zooms in a little bit. It's the same spot though. Okay. That was when I had to switch to using a different animation. A repeated one, but so there it is, coming around. And I think it like almost stops right here, given the timing. Then it drives back behind there again, then around. Like that. Then it comes back. And then it parks at, and then the lights shine on the tree, etc. at 3:57:27. That's when it hits the lights, the building over there, and then parks, and then we'll have to move on to do part number 4. Anyways, there you go. So, anyways, we're gonna look at some of these screenshots. Zozo sent me over some like these. I think we've shown them on the screen like years ago. They're regarding the case, the Pappa Rodgers, the Elliot Rodgers. He called him. It could be that he called himself Pappa Rodgers because of Elliot Rodger, who is the just Elliot Rodger, who is the sort of the king, the father of all incels. And there was a guy named Pappa Rodgers, and that's what they think that's what that stood for. And that's why I've made videos on, I recovered Elliot Rodger and kind of compared him to Kohberger because I wanted to a long time ago. So let's see. How about we do the Dana Smithers thing first? All right. So apparently this is, I think that might be her. I don't know. That was an image that's in there. Let's see. So here's this article that came out. I think this is about, we covered this story on May 24th, 2023, which is 2 days before this article came out. So maybe this one will have a little extra information. Let's see. The sister of the mother of 3 found dead in Pennsylvania last month had spoken out about the possible connection between Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger and her sibling's disappearance. Dana Smithers, 45, was last seen alive on May 28th. May 28th, 2022, when she left her friend's house to walk a few doors down to her own home in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. Almost 1 year later, her remains were finally discovered last month, with their cause of death still a mystery. In a bombshell development this week, it emerged that Mr. Kohberger's parents, Michael and Marianne Kohberger, had been subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury investigating Smithers. And here's my folder that I had on it. It says, this is the folder for today, but the dates on the files, because I moved it into the folder today, is May 24th, 2023. So we covered this almost 2 years ago. All right, but might want to take another look at it now that we know more information. I've noticed that in different cases when we cover stuff a second time after we've already looked at it and we know more, things become a little bit more relevant. But hey, you guys, if you're out there and you have the ability to help support my channel, if you like the kind of work that I do here, I'd appreciate the support. Maybe do the buy me a coffees, the super chats, etc., etc. Tomorrow's our donation night, so it'd be nice to have a decent night going into tomorrow. I don't know, Danny. I don't know. How do we know anything about the Pappa Rodgers account? Somebody might have hacked into the account and used it again. We don't know. Anyways, it's just interesting stuff the person was saying. They could have just used logic and common sense. But you don't know any more than anybody else, Danny, about any of this stuff. All right, so let's see. Dana Smithers, 45, was last seen alive on May 28th. And then we already went through that. In a bombshell development this week, it emerged that Mr. Kohberger's parents, Michael and Marianne Kohberger, had been subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury investigating Smithers' disappearance and death in their home state of Pennsylvania. It remains unclear why the Kohbergers were called to testify in the case, with the revelations coming just days after their 28-year-old son appeared in court charged with the quadruple murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, 21, Madison Mogan, 21, Zanika Nodal, 20, and Ethan Chapin, 20. Yeah, that's what it would seem like. I mean, there's always trolls that recreate accounts and mimic accounts. That's kind of what their MO is. On Thursday, Smithers' sister Stacy addressed the speculation that two cases are connected, insisting that there's no known link and that Mr. Kohberger has an alibi on the night of the disappearance. It says Stacy told News Nation their authorities had informed her even before Mr. Kohberger's arrest, and therefore before the discovery of Smithers' remains, that a grand jury was meeting to investigate her sister's case and other cases. Then, following Mr. Kohberger's arrest, the grand jury began investigating whether he could have been involved in her disappearance. Stacy said it quickly became clear that the cases weren't connected, she says, and that the accused killer was not in the area at the time Smithers went missing. The Stroud Area Regional Police Department also released a statement on Thursday insisting that there's no evidence showing that they're connected. But this one's still unsolved here. That's her right there. A lawyer for Mr. Kohberger's parents had reportedly tried to fight the subpoena but was unsuccessful. The grand jury investigation remains ongoing and no findings have been revealed. On May 28, May 2022, Smithers vanished without a trace from Monroe County, the same county where Mr. Kohberger was living at the time. Her best friend, Tara Siona, told NBC Dateline in December that Smithers had called into her home to hang out. The two women lived just a couple doors down from each other and would often just stop by to see each other on an evening. We're best friends. She's been my neighbor for 16 years. We've raised our children together. It was an open door policy like with her, so she came in and she was here for a little bit. Miss Sioni said that in hindsight she wonders if something was troubling her friend that night. Smithers, who had a history of substance abuse, was smoking something she only did if she was nervous or on edge. Ring video camera captured Smithers leaving her friend's house at about 11:05, holding her cell phone in her hand. She was never seen alive again. Smithers' cell phone, wallet, and daily medication were all found at her home. Smithers' family grew concerned when they realized she hadn't gone home and filed a missing person report. Stacy told Dateline at the time that they knew something must be wrong when she didn't show up for Memorial Day celebration with their children, 25, 23, 7, on May 30th. She would not have missed Memorial Day, said Stacy. She didn't do anything that didn't involve her kids. That was her thing. I mean, she was always there with the kids. Her cause and manner of death are unknown at this time. Anyways, so that was the, kind of the more recent story. But like if you go back in time to like this one, this is when she's still missing. Sister hoping for new clues in disappearance of Pennsylvania woman Dana Smithers, last seen on camera 7 months ago. And we actually have the Dana Smithers all plotted out here. What comment? What did I make under there? There's not going to be, you can't attend the trial. It's only streamed. I might go over, do stuff on the weekends or something, though. But hey, guys, any chance you guys can help support the channel tonight? If not, I'll just go back to sleep. I was really tired, and I took a nap, and I came on because I knew that people expect me to do the shows, and, you know, I'm here and just trying to keep things rolling along. Yeah, so this is in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so look at, like, Kohberger lived right here, and this is where this took place. Just right here in this little kind of community. Yeah, what? Oh, Panky, yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yes, this is the article. It says her kids need her. Stacy's younger sister, 45-year-old Dana Smithers, has been missing since May 28, 2022. You know, sort of interesting because that's right before he left to go to Washington. I was getting my sister back, and then this happened. Stacy and Dana grew up in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. We're basically at the end of the Poconos, Stacy said. It's a resort community. Stacy told Dateline that growing up, let me just get to try to find the factual. Stacy told Dateline that Dana has 3 children, 25-year-old son, a 23-year-old daughter, and a 7-year-old daughter. According to Stacy, Dana's children are a whole world. According to Stacy, Dana and her younger daughter lived with Dana and Stacy's mother in Stroudsburg. Stacy told Dateline that Dana and her youngest daughter went to spend some time with the daughter's father earlier in the day. I wonder if that, I mean, just, you know, if that father has something to do with something. With the daughter's father earlier in the day, on May 28th, Stacy said that Dana and her daughter's father were no longer together, but still, okay, so it was amicable, so they got along. She said the 3 of them went to a festival. Yeah, that's right, I remember that part. They went to a festival at the Happy Hour Bar and Grill in Stroudsburg and were walking around saying hi to everybody and dancing. So that's right here. So she lived right in this house right here. And apparently they walked over here to the bar. Here's where the bar is. Hey, thanks, Emily Marie.
Appreciate all you do.
Well, thank you. And thanks, Alley Cave. Oh, look at that. Heart-shaped box. Very cool. So I'm just trying to figure out why there was a belief that maybe there... I mean, it's weird because they haven't revealed the cause of death, so... Was she stabbed to death? And then they think they didn't, you know. I mean, maybe Kohberger has an alibi. I'm just wondering what made them think that. That would be the interesting element. So they went to this bar and grill, walked around and said hi to everybody. Stacy said that 3 of them then left and went back to Dana's house. After returning home, Dana walked over to see if Tara wanted to come over and hang out on the patio, Stacy said. Tara is Dana's friend and neighbor. We're best friends. She's been my neighbor for 16 years, Tara told Dateline. We've raised our children together. Tara told Dateline she saw Dana earlier that day. She was driving home from work, and I was walking over to there was a street festival, she recalled. She's like, hey, like, I'll see you over there. Tara said she saw Dana at the festival and that it was really fun. Later that night, Dana came over to her place, Tara said. So, like, okay, they're over here, and then they came home. She came home and then walked over to Tara's house, which is right there. There's no street view right there, but you know, from here, I think Dana's house has street view on it. Yeah, maybe right there. But you can't go through this intersection, I don't think. Yeah, so for some reason the street view guy didn't drive down here, but that's where Tara lived, right there. Tara said she saw Dana at the festival and that it was really fun. Later that night, Dana came over to her place, Tara said. According to Tara, the two only live a few houses down from each other, so dropping in was a regular occurrence. It was an open door policy like with her, she said. So she came in and she was here for a little bit, Tara recalled. I don't know if she was nervous. I'm not sure what was going on with her. Tara told Dateline that Dana also smoked cigarette, which leads her to believe not sure why the word Tara's in here, that Dana was nervous since she only knew her to smoke when she was on edge. If I would have known that was the last time I would have seen her, I would have definitely asked more questions, but I was sort of like, I'm going to go to bed. Tara said that Dana asked her to come over to her place and hang out, but since it was late, Tara declined. Sounds like she wanted somebody to be there. Maybe somebody told her she had nice birthing hips earlier in the day. No, I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted. Tara said that when Dana left, she was captured on Tara's Ring camera. She had her phone in her hand. It was around 11 p.m. That was the last time anyone saw her, Stacy said of her sister. My mother called me the morning of the 29th, which was Sunday, and asked if I had talked to her, Stacy recalled. I said no, and she said, well, Dana didn't come home last night. According to Stacy, that was the first time Dana didn't come home. Dana has stayed out overnight and not called anybody, Stacy said. It hasn't happened recently, but she's 45 years old. We don't always check in with our parents at 45. But what was highly unusual, Stacy said, is that Dana's phone and car keys were found at the house. So that means she made it home. If she was going to go out and do something like that, she would have taken the car, Stacy said. She always took her pills, her purse with her medication, her cell phone, and the car. Excuse me. There we go. That was something in my throat. According to Stacy, that was the first time Dana didn't come home. Dana has stayed out overnight and not called anybody. She's 45 years old. But what was highly unusual, Stacy said, is that Dana's phone and car keys were found at the house. And that's usually a horrendous sign. That means usually likely like something happened to the person out of the house itself. She was going to go out and do something. If she was going to go out and do something like that, she would have taken the car, Stacy said. She always took her pills, her purse, and the medication. Her cell phone and the car keys were all at the house. Stacy told Dateline that her sister struggled on and off with substance abuse, but had been doing much better, so taking her prescription pills was extremely important to her. I'm not going to tell you my sister was an angel, Stacy said, but her meds had been adjusted recently by her primary care physician, and in my opinion, she was getting much better, Stacy said, adding that she and her sister were getting close again. Tara told Dateline that she never thought Dana was using again. She could have told me, but I really don't think it was that. By Monday, May 30th, Memorial Day, Stacy said she knew something was definitely wrong. Dana and her children have a family tradition where every Memorial Day they go to a park in Pennsylvania called Nobles Park, Stacy said. She would not have missed Memorial Day. But Dana did miss Memorial Day, and she hasn't been seen since. Stacy said on Tuesday, May 31st, she called Stroudsburg Regional Police Department to report her sister missing. The officer said, she's an adult. She can go missing. Stacy said, I know now what I should have fought harder for them to take me seriously. Stacy said that one of Dana's friends persistently called the police throughout the week and finally got them to take us seriously. Stacy told Dateline that the official missing person report was filed on June 5th, so that's like a week later, 2022. On June 22nd, the Stroud Area Regional Police Department posted that their department continues to ask for public assistance for any information regarding missing Stroudsburg Borough resident Dana Smithers. The post goes on to say that investigation into the case has not revealed any information on the whereabouts of Miss Smithers. Hey, thanks, Jackass Jax D. Thanks. It added that on the morning of June 22nd. No, thank you. Smithers, let's see. The post goes on to say that the investigation into the case has not revealed any information on the whereabouts of Miss Smithers or indicate that any crime was committed. It added that on the morning of June 22nd, with the assistance of Pennsylvania State Police, a search was conducted at the area of Glen Park in Stroudsburg. However, the search did not result in any additional information being obtained. At Glen Park, do I have that? No, this is Glen Park right over here. Let's see. And it says, however, the search did not result in any additional information. Stacy confirmed to Dateline that police did search for Dana on June 22nd. There's a park down the street from my mom's house. Stacy said they did a search with cadaver dogs with the assistance of the state police department, and they came up with nothing. There have been no additional updates posted by authorities. Dateline reached out for an update in the case. I think something happened, Stacy said. I don't think she's here anymore. Dana's best friend, Tara, also believes something bad may have happened to her friend. She would never leave her children like this, Tara said. We were planning for the summer. She had a lot going on. Hey, thank you very much, Vandana Dale. Vandana Dale, I like that one. Despite that, Stacy said she won't stop fighting for answers. My mom is 74 years old, Stacy said. I don't want her not to see this get fixed. I don't want her not to see the end, Stacy also said. She continuously spreads awareness and updates about her sister. Yes, this is when she was missing. Then, let's see, then May 1st, 2023. So this is before some of these other articles came out. Let me see if I need to... Yeah, hopefully that... Okay, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, we don't know if he... I think if, when people say that he tried to replace the K-bar knife, I think it might be because he was going to go do another one. I mean, the thing is, if you believe that the knife sheath is like a calling card, something to say, hey, I was here, then he's buying another one to do it again. Okay? He was just going to do it again. It seems kind of weird that you would buy another one later to make it look like you still have the one that you bought before, when the only way that they'd know that you bought one before was to look at Amazon, and then obviously the Amazon order to buy the other one would be on there. It just seems kind of stupid. It seems to me like he was just going to go ahead and buy another one to go do another one. Anyways, a body found in Monroe County last week has now been identified as Dana Smithers, who was reported missing last June. Smithers, 45, was last seen on surveillance video leaving a friend's home. A search conducted at the time turned up short. That was until last week when a Bureau employee discovered a decomposed body in a wooded area along Park Avenue in Stroudsburg near the on-ramp to Interstate 80 East. A portion of the remains were examined Monday, identifying Smithers through dental records. Results from an autopsy conducted Monday are pending further testing. Officials say the case remains an ongoing investigation. Anyone with information is asked to contact Stroud Regional Police. So this is where she was found, over here. Like, she just lives right there, and her body was found right here, like in this wooded area. Down in there, apparently. I mean, I don't know if it was right there. I mean, that looks kind of open down there, but somewhere around in this area. This is probably the on-ramp that they're talking about. So, you know, maybe she was found somewhere in this wooded area. Yeah. Yeah, we don't know how this lady was killed, and it sounds like the family said they determined it wasn't connected, but I mean, it's sort of interesting that they went to the level of, you know, a grand jury asking questions. There must have been something. I mean, it is really close, right? Like, Kohberger lived here, and it's 15 miles away. I can't remember what this Jessica Bauer, is that a different case, or? Not sure why I have that in there. All right. Yeah, thanks to, this one just says, oh, Carrie. Yeah, thank you for Carrie on the coffee. And then one of them just says someone. That's all it says. And then the Daily Mail, this is more around the Kohberger. You know, this is, so her body was found in the last one, and then, oh wait, let's see. We got to see this one really quick. This is from yesterday's story. Twisted reason, extremely jealous top doctor tried to kill engineer wife. A prominent doctor believed his nuclear engineer wife was having an affair. See, that was the other option. In the months before, he allegedly tried to kill her by pushing her off. Gerhard Koenig, 46, has been accused of brutally attacking his wife of 6 years, Ariel Koenig, 36, atop the scenic Pali. Yeah, but it's weird. I didn't think if it looked like she was cheating that he would. I thought maybe he'd go after the guy, but I think it's different when it's women. It states Gerhard, a renowned anesthesiologist, accused her of cheating on him in December, and ever since he had become prone to extreme jealousy and even attempted to control and monitor all her. Yeah, and it's weird too, because on Facebook I noticed she didn't have much in there. They tried to settle their differences at couples therapy, the petition says, and things were looking up when Gerhard planned a weekend getaway. Following his arrest, Ariel said she learned her husband had called one of his adult children from previous marriage on FaceTime. He was allegedly covered in blood and told his son, "I just tried to kill Ari, but she's got away," according to the petition. Jeez, this guy's nuts. Ariel's petition was ultimately granted on Monday, forbidding Gerhardt from having any contact with his wife or children. It came as the doctor was officially, now he's way more dangerous, if he got out on, hopefully he's still in. I just did not see this coming. Yeah, we had to switch over to that real quick. hopefully for people who actually watch the show, you watched that portion and thought that, wouldn't mind seeing something different. Crazy. Well, we knew it would be something like that. That was the two options, that he was seeing somebody or she thought he was seeing somebody, but it seemed more likely that he was seeing somebody, because normally I think it's different though. I think women tend to go after the rival where men go after their cheating spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, the women normally go after the person who took their husband from them, where the man goes after their wife for daring to cheat on them. So it's kind of different. So maybe that would have been, made that more likely in that scenario, I guess. No, they did the grand jury. I don't know if it was the time. We read it in the first article, the timing of that. What was ordered. Maybe the jury just wanted they were looking at both cases, because maybe they have evidence on Smithers' case, and grand jury was looking at that one too, and then thought, man, let's talk to the Kohberger parents, because that's right there. That's what I think. And it turns out they go, no, they're not connected. Let's see. So anyways, here it says, Michael and Marion Kohberger will appear in front of a grand jury in connection to Dana Smithers' May 28, 22 disappearance, as investigators determine if their son was involved in other slayings. Smithers, 45, was last seen in ring camera footage at around 11 p.m. on the day she went missing. Her remains were uncovered in a wooded area in Stroudsburg on April 27th, about 30 miles away from Kohberger's family home. That's a little closer than that. Yeah, it's not 30 miles, unless I had the wrong. Maybe no. That's the Kohbergers lived right there in that house, and it's definitely not 30 miles. Unless maybe it's 30 miles driving because of the way it's located. As a crow flies, it's 15, but I could see if you have to drive down here and then go like that, maybe. All right, we're having one of those massive lulls again, you guys. So if you're out there and you have the ability to support the channel, we're currently at 1/5 of the normal nightly goal with 0 channel members. We have no new channel members, 1/5 of the goal, and that's where we're at. I know it's a later show, so maybe tonight will just not be that great. Michael, and then it says Smithers, 45, was last seen in ring camera footage at around 11 p.m. on the day she went missing. Her remains were uncovered in a wooded area in Stroudsburg on April 27th, about 30 miles away from Kohberger's. No. But a source claimed that Kohberger's alibi proves that he likely wasn't involved in Smithers' disappearance. Kohberger, 28, was charged with the November 13, 2022 deaths of the University of Idaho students Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, both 21, and young couples Anna Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, 20. Now that's the ring camera footage right there of her leaving Tara's house. This is the moment Smithers was seen for the final time before her disappearance on Ring doorbell. Michael is expected to testify in court on Thursday, while Marion has already given her testimony. The transcript from the closed session may be transferred to Idaho, where their son is expected to go on trial on October 2nd. The suspect appeared in an Idaho courtroom on Monday, where he refused to enter a plea to 4 counts of murder in the first degree. Kohberger instead chose to use Idaho's standing silent. I remember people thinking that was like really nice of him, Like it really looks good upon Kohberger to stand in silent. He had been due to face preliminary hearing, but the Washington State University PhD candidate was indicted by an Idaho grand jury. The criminology major has been behind bars since December 30th, when police raided his parents' Pennsylvania home. You know, when he was found in the kitchen separating the trash. Oh, there's the actual video of it. It seems like kind of more of a domestic kind of thing. By the way, what is she looking at? You know, you can see, it looked like she was already nervous exiting the house. You can see how she's looking around, like right there. Why would you do that? You know, why would you do that? Wouldn't you just walk out happy and just... So it looks like she's looking for somebody. Remember, the reason she was smoking that cigarette is probably why she just looked around the corner first. See right there. Why would you do that? You would just walk down the stairs casually without another thought. And this turns out, this car right here cannot be the white Elantra. Kind of looks like it, you know, it's got some similar stuff going on there. But Kohberger is believed to have planned the murders of Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana with a probable cause affidavit, noting that he had repeatedly visited the area around their home prior to the killings. Yeah, we already know all this stuff. All right. I don't know if any of these other ones have anything else in them, but... Uh-oh. I just froze. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but everything just froze. Yep, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Everything froze. Hold on. Maybe it's back now. Is it back? Hey, maybe it's working now. Okay. That was crazy. Everything froze on my computer. Did you guys see that? Okay. I don't even know what that story is about. So anyways, there you go. You have those. Was I still moving around on the screen? Because everything on all four monitors was locked up. Yep. So these are just a bunch of screenshots here. We'll take a look at them. Just random screenshots that were in this one chat that Zozo, or I don't know what it was. Somebody had like this place on Facebook where they were just all in there. But come on, you guys. Let's see if we can get some motion going in terms of the goal tonight. We're at 1/5. 1/5 of the goal. $48.94 with 0 new channel members and just a couple coffees. Got to keep our streak going. Oh yeah, that was pretty funny, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, we did it during a live stream, the Chat GPT, so I recreated it on a just doing a you know, in a video where I went back through the conversation because I thought it was sort of interesting how ChatGPT ended up deploying the same logic that the people with common sense use. And then it was just sort of the humor value of the bro mode roast. That was funny. Okay? I thought it was funny. So, you know, I made a video on it. Nobody watched it, of course, but got like 1/3 of the views. I did though, great. Yeah, I know, but you know what I'm saying. It's like when you get so few views, that's when you say nobody watched it. It doesn't matter if 1,000 that are sitting here say I watched it. You can see the totals, right? Yeah, blah blah blah. Right, Hannah. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah. Okay, right here, it's there's a guy named Pappa Rodgers, and he kind of looks like Kohberger, you know, from the side. This little picture here, you can't see it right there. I have better, like this one, you know. Everyone thought it kind of looked like him, even at the time. I mean, it sort of looks like him. A little different nose, obviously. Hey, thanks, Michelle H. All right, how in the hell would I know that? So this is Dustin. They're communicating with this Pappa Rodgers. I'm sorry that nobody's buying this sheath theory of yours. Right. So he actually predicted in one of them, I don't know where it is right now, that the fact that they knew it was like a K-bar knife means that they found the sheath. So this person knew that. I guess that's just pretty good deduction, you know, because how would you know that? If you don't find the murder weapon, how would you know it was a K-bar knife, right? And he surmised that he must have left the sheath there. So that sort of goes both ways. Was he just, you know, like a psychic does the same kind of logic deduction and then pretends it's derived from some, you know, other world out there. Yeah, it says, if we find out one day and I'm wrong, I will gladly eat crow. Well, you ate crow, didn't you? And then then he said, do you carry a knife? Dude, give it a rest. You sound like a psycho. Remember, I made the original post and you have gone down this path. Maybe it's this one right here. I don't know. Let's see. Fixed blade. Nah. I don't know the order that these are in. Maybe if let me go up to the top right here. Okay, that's the second one, and then there's this one. Also nice, since commented on your post with my opinion on a discussion board, I should be accepting of your weird and creepy ass questions. Asking if you carry a knife is weird and creepy? See, I didn't think that was a weird question, did you? He probably wanted him to say no, and he goes, well, if you carry a knife, you usually have a sheath when it's... You know. Pappa Rodgers asking me questions like, which hand did he hold the knife in, and do you carry a knife with no context is just strange. I didn't see that question. You were asking me questions that only the killer would know answers to. Are you suggesting that I'm the killer? I'm only responding to you. Why would you even bring up the killer? Why do you say? And then someone who is about ready to commit a premeditated murder. If you were sneaking into someone's house looking to kill them with a knife, would you have the knife in a sheath when you entered? I think the killer had it in his hand upon entering, just in case he was confronted and forced to fight. How did the killer hold the knife prior to entering the scene, in your opinion? I mean, those are kind of interesting questions. Almost like if that is Pappa Rodgers, they're kind of different kind of questions, because it's like he wants to see if people can figure out how he was holding it, right? That's what it feels like. If that is Pappa Rodgers, those are different kind of questions. Like, that's not a normal question that you would ask somebody, right? How did the killer hold the knife prior to entering the scene, in your opinion? I mean, I don't know. He held it in his hand, you know? I mean, I would guess he carried it in his hand from wherever it is he came from. And these are just all random, out of order. They weren't in a good order or anything. This is that Pappa Rodgers. I feel like the white car isn't relevant. What a stupid comment. Fight me. Law enforcement is no closer to solving this than they were 30 days ago. See, look at, if he's saying that, Pappa Rodgers types in, I feel like the white car isn't relevant. Right, because you don't want it to be. It's your freaking car, right? That's something they would say. It's a ludicrous comment. Fight me. Law enforcement is no closer to solving this than they were 30 days ago. Pappa Rodgers is wiped from Facebook, somebody said. So maybe this is right around the time where law enforcement was, looking into him. Of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. This is that original one. This evidence was released prior to the autopsies. Right. But they also mentioned a K-bar knife. They didn't just say fixed blade knife. Although, again, that is interesting, because how would you know it was a fixed blade knife? Right? Because fixed blade knives, some have two edges that are sharp and one that isn't on some. So you wouldn't know it, but he thinks he knows it's a sheath because fixed blade knives are always in sheaths because you can't fold them up to protect the blade from cutting you. So isn't that just logical thinking right there? Now, wrong about what? Yeah, the white car, yeah. Yeah, I'll try it one last shot on here, you guys. You guys know every single night when we do this show, we try to raise funds to help support this channel, which is covering cases better than other people because we actually use common sense, logic, and reason. And I spend a lot of time on my videos. And when we do these live streams, there is no ad revenue, all right? So I rely on the people watching the shows to support the channel so that I can keep doing the live streams. The ad revenue on videos is just subject to how many people are watching, etc. But when we do these live streams, I hope that people, feel like, like when you go to Starbucks and you order a coffee, you send the guy a tip, right? It'd be great if that's what you guys thought of when I do these shows. All right, so when I do these shows, I hope that people want to support the channel and allow us to keep doing all this great stuff, because it's difficult doing shows when you're sort of keep looking up at the screen and there's no support, and then it feels like you're just sort of spinning your wheels where you could actually be working on a video or doing something else for the following day. All right, so thank you. If you have the ability to, that'd be great. If you can't, then no. Okay, so all these crazy bombshell docs come out and you showing posts. I've already gone over all the documents, you idiot. There wasn't a new document today. You're just watching the wrong channel, you fool. We got a troll in the chat right here. We've already gone over all the documents. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Usually when the idiot Kohbergers show up, they come in here because they want to. They want me to keep talking about Ray's assertions as if they're absolutely factual pieces of information, when we know that he's a discredited and has been discredited on multiple cases in the past. Okay. So I just don't care what Ray says. We went over all the stuff he left out, crucial information. Thanks, Alley Cake. I shouldn't always rely on you, Alley Cake. Every single time I say something, you always seem to be supporting. I just wish some of the other people that watch on a nightly basis would want to help support the channel. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. This evidence was released. Right, because you wouldn't just carry a knife, a fixed blade without a sheath around, because you can easily cut yourself. So you'd want to have it protected until you were ready to use it. And you probably would likely want some kind of grip, different kind of grip in your hand, something like that. All right. So that was the original post. Thanks, RDW and WDR. University Idaho murder case discussion. A knife is a very risky weapon if you know you are going to murder 4 people. Do we think the killer also had another weapon, such as a stun gun or other knife? Or did they not know? I don't know why they didn't open that up so we could read it, but they didn't. Hey, thanks. I'm a DNA detective. Yeah, other people. There you go. Hey, look at there's Ivan Victor. Thanks. I'm a DNA detective. Oh, they win again? How is what's his face doing? You know, Cooper Flag or whatever the hell his name is. Like liking Duke is like liking the Lakers. It's so boring, man. Why don't you root for a team that you know, you have struggles and yeah, he was pretty good in the Olympic practice sessions for the Olympic team. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's trying to lose as many games as possible to see if they can get him. Oh, well. They won you money. Well, hey, that's good. Then at least that way you help support the channel. Go Duke! How did the killer leave the scene? Did clean up at all? How did you leave the scene? Oh, wait. Yeah, so I think these are questions he asked. So Pappa Rodgers asked, how did the killer leave the scene? Did he clean it up at all? And then in his survey, he asked, how did you leave the scene? That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's pretty compelling right there, because that's not even a really good sentence, you know. How did the killer leave the scene? What do you mean? I mean, like how he left it, or like, you know, how did he leave it? Like, did he leave it messy with blood spat? You know, is that what he's saying? And then, so this down here is definitely Kohberger, the DeSales University questions. Before leaving, is there anything else you did? See, and he's asking similar questions in this before Kohberger's name was even out there, right? Because Kohberger was arrested in, wasn't it like later in December? Much later. And then here you have this DeSales questions here nobody was even looking at the time. I don't think. Maybe he was arrested right around that time. I don't know. Let me just type that in. I can't remember the exact arrest date. What date? I think it was like the 28th or something. 29th maybe. What date was Kohberger arrested? December 30th. Okay, right around there. That's what I thought. Yeah, so that makes that interesting, right? Like on December 13th, 17 days. I just typed it in, yeah. December 13th, which is 17 days before Kohberger was arrested, Pappa Rodgers is saying, how did the killer leave the scene? Did he clean it up? And then when Kohberger's name was out there, in his survey, he said, how did you leave the scene? Talking to the criminal. Before leaving, is there anything else you did? So isn't that interesting? I think that is pretty interesting, you gotta admit. And then right here, Pappa Rodgers, Dustin said, Pappa Rodgers, who knows, this is back to the other conversation, it's all out of order. Finding a left behind sheath seems like a stretch. Well, he was right. Why? They are very specific about the weapon, but very vague about every other detail. I think it's more likely that they did closer examination of the wounds on the scene. That's kind of what I thought. But when you think about it, if they say it's a fixed blade, how would you know that? Other than they found a sheath, right? Because the wound, there's fixed blades that are very similar to fold-up blades. There's no difference in them. They just happen to fold. They know this is a fixed blade because they found a sheath. That makes sense. That's pretty good, just deductive reasoning. They can analyze depth of the wound, width, serrated edge would be a big clue. I'm sure they have access to a database that would show knives that match those dimensions. Plus, I've never seen a folding knife that has a serrated edge. That's the person who's arguing with them. I'm only responding to you. Why would you even bring up the killer? That was from before. Sorry, I trashed your stupid sheath theory, and you couldn't take it. Well, you're the one that looks stupid now, in hindsight, right? Pappa Rodgers, any other brain buster theories? Maybe they found a receipt laying in the kitchen for the knife. I bet you this is a Kohberger. I bet Dustin right here is a Kohberger at this point. Why are you angry? Yeah, it is kind of true. Like, it's funny, you know. Like, why? Yeah, why are you angry at this point? He's just saying. I think it's pretty good reasoning ability. Pappa Rodgers, why do you communicate like a serial killer? I mean, some of his questions are a little strange. The killer has a sexual dysfunction, Pappa Rodgers said. Yes, he also likes his steak medium. Is that your first thought? He says back to that person. Fixed blade means that it's not folding knife. The way I'm guessing they could tell, because there's actually folding knives that look just like that. Could tell by impressions or bruising around the stab wounds that showed the outline of a guard on the knife. Now that's interesting. You know, maybe that made some. You wouldn't be able to tell that at the crime scene. Huh. How does he know that? Hey, thanks, Shelly Ann. Pappa Rodgers, I disagree. If the stabbing motion were hard, the guard would have left a mark. By the way, I don't think I spun the wheel last night, so I'm just going to keep everybody on there. Do a spin tonight. Put Ivan Victor on there. Chewbacca.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
And then this one, back to Pappa Rodgers. I disagree. If the stabbing motion were hard, the guard would have left a mark. Yeah, it's hard to say. Thanks, GSU PM. Hey, but by the way, while you're here at GSU PM, I could never see your responses. The charity that you wanted to do for autism, it didn't seem like that's what the one that you sent me. Do you want me just to look up one? I can just go find one myself. It's no big deal. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones out there. All right. Anyways, we got that, and then how did the killer leave the scene? Okay, we did that one. Then we got this one. Who knows? Finding a left behind. Let's see. Some of these are just to add the next comment. They are very specific about the weapon, but very vague about every other detail. I think it's more likely they did closer examination. They can analyze depth. Okay, that one's the same. So there's repeated information in this. It didn't seem like it did. It seemed like it was kind of like at-risk kids running around out and about. I didn't see it. I looked it up. About the browse? Oh, back home. Okay. With trackers provided by police. Okay, cool. That sounds good. Right, Pappa Rodgers, Dustin Stubblefield, I'm only responding to you. Why would you even bring up the killer? Up the killer thought? Odd. Sorry, I trashed your stupid sheath theory and you couldn't take it. So there's. Be cool to put this in order, but it's hard. I thought it was in order. The killer has sexual dysfunctional thoughts. Yes, he also likes his steak medium. And then that one's another repeat. Unless I'm just keep. Yeah, I think I scrolled up in the list here, so I'm repeating accidentally. Regardless of what has been released, I believe this is a sexually motivated crime. That's what Pappa Rodgers said. Did the killer drive, walk, or some combination of both to the scene? A knife is a very risky weapon if you know you are going to murder 4 people. Google Trends shows the search history for the house by date. Lots of Thursday activity. What do you think? Maybe there's parties on Thursdays. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What if he was the one that was searching on it? Trends. Google Trends Explorer. So from August until November 12th, that address was searched on some various different times. I guess. I mean, you know, who knows? Sometimes that doesn't work that great. Thoughts on the body placement? This is Pappa Rodgers. Huh. See, this isn't right because Ethan wasn't out there. But like, is this? This is. He didn't make this drawing. Yeah, Ethan was not out there, so that's what everybody was thinking at first. See, this room right here is Dylan Mortensen's room. I mean, this is sort of accurate. Like, there's the stairs. There's actually a closet right over here that goes, like, right there. And then there's a slider, kitchen. The bathroom door is more, like, over here. Here is the... I guess if we, like, go into the... Yeah, this is... Yeah, right outside that. Now that's downstairs. Hold on. Yeah, see, there's a bathroom right there, and then there's Xana's room, Dylan, stairs, and then there's actually a closet right there. And then the kitchen's around the corner. I mean, it's interesting that they have her, you know, the body there. That's kind of where I have one because of the blood that comes outside the house. And that's what they're basing that on, right? That right there is right here. So that's accurate. Front door, I'm not sure why they have that there. Maybe that's that's Xana's room, where the circle is there. I'm going to go out on the limb and assume it's not the first time you've heard that, talking to Pappa Rodgers. Anyways, I would love to stay and chat, but I'm going to go back to living my life now. Try not to creep everyone out. Dude, definitely gives a serial killer vibes. So strange and creepy. Pappa Rodger, you very likely would be able to tell due to the time they were found and when they were killed. Let's see, maybe we'll get the question. Did the killer stop at 4 victims out of exhaustion, convenience, or lack of knowledge? See, if that's him, that's an interesting question there, because he's not even suggesting that that he just had one victim in mind and things got out of hand. He's literally saying, did the killer stop at 4 victims out of exhaustion? Maybe he was tired. Convenience or lack of knowledge. So that one, if that is Kohberger, then that would sort of indicate that he went in there to kill them all, doesn't it? That's what that would. That would mean he went there to kill them all, because he didn't even put in the suggestion. Or do you think he went there to target one of the victims and things got out of control? Or maybe he didn't want to admit that he got surprised by something, so couldn't subconsciously put that in there. Did the killer stop at 4 victims out of exhaustion, convenience, or lack? Okay, that's the same one. Let me go to this one. Thanks, Allie Cake. You got some troll spray? You can make yourself look cartoonish, and his account was disabled yesterday. The posts in here from him have me shaking. He was in here the whole time. I mean, it is sort of interesting that they had already communicated with this person, and definitely has sort of a similar look. That must have been kind of creepy if you were one of the people that were communicating with him. No, meaning he just did lack of knowledge up there, and just means that he didn't know that there was other people in the house, perhaps. He didn't know that Dylan and Bethany were there. And maybe that means that he went there to kill everybody. He just didn't know that those 2 were there, but he knew that he thought maybe Kaylee, Madison, and Xana lived there, because those are. Doesn't it seem like when you guys picture that house, the people living there, doesn't it seem like Xana, Kaylee, and Madison were sort of like the 3 main friends, and that Bethany and Dylan were not quite as close with the rest of them? That's how. I mean, they're all friends, but it seems like that's kind of like the pecking order. I think it would be something like Kaylee and Madison probably ran the show, and then Xana was good friends with them, and then Bethany and Dylan were kind of like, they're all friends, but they were just sort of not quite in the same level pecking order. That's how I've pictured it. This is a discussion. Let's see, up here it says, I think we should give them the dignity they deserve and not theorize on where their bodies were. See, I hate people like that show up and, why are you following true crime? It's like, that's what people do, man. We try to figure things out. You got all these people that want to be holier than thou, and they show up and they want to make it seem like they're what do they call it? Their moral superiority complex. What's the other term for it? When people try to, they come in and they want you to know how much better they are morally than you. But why are you following true crime then? And again, when people always say, oh, man, I've been following this case and I've cried myself to sleep. Yeah, virtue signaling, that's it. I've cried myself to sleep the last 5 nights. And I'm thinking to myself, why in God's name are you even following true crime? You should be at home watching cartoons and something happy. Because if you're out there shivering and chilling and freaking out and you haven't slept in a week, isn't true crime the last thing in the world you should be doing? See, I think most of us, when we're following true crime, we do it because we're able to handle it. And that's kind of what it's about. You know, there's always cases out there that affect you a little differently, but you still go through it and you cover the cases, man. I'm shaking. I can't sleep at night. Man, you know what I think? I don't think that's even true. I think these people they want people to believe that they're so sensitive and caring, and they just want you to care so much about them. So they tell everybody. It's the same mentality of the people when they don't like your group. So they make a community post saying, I'm leaving. This isn't really cool. This is a mean place. Okay. Nobody cared what you had to say. Just leave. You get what I'm saying? It's the same mentality. They just want attention. I don't believe it. I do not believe. If it was your family member, shit, yeah, obviously. You'd feel that way. But to sit there and go, man, for the last week I've had shivers. I can't sleep at night. Oh, my God. Really? What the hell? What's your problem? Are you a relative of them? Or... Yeah. I think it was Pappa Rodgers. Yeah, it could very well be. This is a discussion of the case. You are participating by choice. Right, okay, yeah. I think we should give him the dignity. Yeah. I just think you should, as soon as somebody makes a post like that, you remove them from your group immediately, okay? At that exact moment in time, you just get rid of them. Because that person right here will never be a contributing member of that group that you're in. All right, anyways. Pappa Rodgers, the 4 victims didn't participate by choice. This is a discussion of the case. You are participating by choice. The 4 victims didn't participate by choice. You are one sick and... Well, see, look, that is such a stupid reply. I mean, I'm not trying to, like... Even if that is Kohberger, I hate shit like this. Don't you guys? This person comes in with the holier-than-thou crap, and they said, this is a discussion of the case. You are participating by choice. You don't have to comment. You can just leave and not come back, right? Don't you guys agree with that? Then right here, it's Pappa Rodgers. The 4 victims didn't participate by choice. You are one sick individual. Glad you're locked up. All right. See, this is just... It's ludicrous to me. This right here is an absolutely normal response that you would say, right? You'd say, hey, you're here by choice. You don't have to be here. You can go, go somewhere else. Nobody asked you to join in on this conversation. So this person's just trying to be a holier-than-thou, virtue signaling nut job. All right. Go to the next one. Pappa Rodger said, they don't clean bodies at a crime scene. The amount of blood must have been tremendous. Due to the number of victims and assuming each victim was stabbed multiple times, I am sure there was visible evidence of a guard. For all we know, the investigators on the scene wiped a couple stab wounds clean to look for bruising. I think it's far more logical than finding a sheath. That's kind of funny reading that because those people absolutely nailed it. But the police were Pappa Rodgers nailed it, not those people. But the police were very specific about the type of knife used. Scott Jute reportedly told them his shop doesn't sell the specific... Rodger, let's see. They are looking for a very specific knife. Curious, why are you debating the sheath theory so hard? Because who would carry a sheath? Anybody with a fixed blade knife. I mean, that's the answer to the question, right? Who would carry a sheath? Anybody with a fixed blade knife. Are you going to stick a fixed blade knife that's sharp in your pocket so you can reach in there and cut your hand? I mean, it's just the dumbest thing I've ever... Hey, thanks, Lisa. Oh, so whoever Pappa Rodgers is using common sense in terms of the. I mean, it's kind of cool that they, that's something that any one of us could have thought of if we just thought about it more clearly. That a fixed blade knife, you're likely going to have a sheath with it. Thank you, Lisa L. Look at that, 18 months. And by the way, you guys, we have 0 new channel members tonight. So if anybody's out there wanting to gift some memberships to some of these people, or why don't you, if you're not a channel member, join the channel. You get to use all the custom emojis, etc. Yep. All right. So anyways, I said, well, thanks for subbing. Now become a channel member. Who would carry a large exposed knife? There you go. That's exactly right. That's the knife. I didn't read these in advance. Sheaths are meant for belts. Okay. What kind of a response is that? Man, see, even if that is Kohberger, he had to deal with idiots too. It's just amazing. In regards to the Pappa Rodgers account, his profile picture looks exactly like Brian. It's from one of those apps where you can make yourself look cartoonish, and his account was disabled yesterday. The posts in here from him have me shaking. He was in here the whole time. That's a duplicate. The date of killing was chosen on purpose. Thoughts? Well, that's sort of interesting, because that would match your theory. There's people's theory, there's different cases out there that have different dates that people try to associate with it. So maybe that's what Zozo found. There was these people that were talking about it being connected to Amityville murders, because that was on November 13th, 1974. And that had 6 people being shot to death, but then the address was like 112 Ocean something Road. Right? So, the date of the killing was chosen purpose? Thoughts? So that's sort of interesting. I mean, if this is Brian Kohberger, then, maybe there is something to something like that. 4 weeks in and no suspects. What is the motive? Well, it's obviously a sexual motive of some kind, whether it's hate for the sex of that you're killing or whatever it is. But how long do we think the killer was in the house? Yeah, it was kind of close to his birthday. How long do we think the killer? I think the killer was in the house for about 7 minutes total. That's what I think. And maybe even less. I think he got into the house I think he got in there at like 4:10-ish, maybe 4:11. And he's leaving at 4:17 or 18. That's how fast it was. How long do we think the killer was in the house? What do we think is the height and weight of the killer? I mean, why is he asking a question like that? I mean, that's sort of interesting. It's almost like he wants you to try to see if, wow, you were close to what I am. Because why, did anybody, that's a question that you don't ask until, ever, right? I mean, there's no description or anything of him at all. Nobody said a damn thing. So you're not going to ask, what do you think his height and weight of the killer was? That's a weird question to ask until there's a name. Then you go, hey, what do you think his height and weight might be? I don't know. What do you guys think? That is kind of a strange. Day 30. Yeah, we've talked about Pappa Rodgers before. I think got over some of the killer is not in the victim's immediate circle. The killer is not in the victim's immediate circle. Man, see that That's another one, right? He doesn't know him at all. The killer is not a student. Thoughts? Well, he kind of wasn't sort of a student. He was a doctoral student, but more of a professor, right? Can someone post actual evidence showing where the bodies were found? I mean, he would know. You'd think he would have drawn and go, based on, I don't know. He probably didn't want to give away who he was. I know this won't be popular, but this is where I think the victims were found. Oh, does he do that? Oh, that's his drawing then, up there. So that means that's not correct, where he had Ethan. So this is what, I think he posted that. He put them in these, see Xana though, right there. That's interesting, because I don't have Xana on the bed. And I don't think Xana was over there, if that's where the bed is. I mean, I don't know where the bed was in Xana's room, but one of the victims definitely was likely on the ground, or not definitely then, but likely on the ground, right over here, because the blood came out. But Ethan was in the room, but it was Xana was the one that you could see as you're approaching the room. So she would have been right in this area. So I think Ethan is over here in the corner. That's the logic I'm using. Because if you're walking down the hallway, in this image right there, you see how I have Xana on the ground right there? Because that's where she would be, right? I mean, you would see her if she was in that location. And then if you're in the room, I mean, from right there, you'd see her, right? So let me go into the room. I guess, wow, where's that? Oh, we're already way out there. Let's see. All right, so this is in the room. So I don't know where the bed was specifically, but I think Ethan was over in that corner, and Xana's in the room, like right around here. And they couldn't see Ethan until they finally opened the door. Or it's just not him, Zozo. Could just be somebody that uses pretty good common sense. For a specific knife, the date of the killing was chosen on purpose. Thoughts. Then we had this one. The killer's not a student. Can someone post actual evidence? And then this is where he thought that the bodies were. And this is getting close. December 21st on that one. The reason that I know Kohberger was Pappa Rodgers is they had an eagle in their cover picture, which represents the Marine Corps globe emblem. He also had a military figure in the display picture, which weirdly resembled Kohberger. Putting them both together, we can draw a link to the knife, of which the sheath was previously discussed on social media by Rodgers before the release of any details. He said it was a sheath. Given his username was Papa, with his DNA being found on it, and his last name being Rodgers, which is a nod to Elliot Rodger. It's not Rodgers, though. It's also R-O-G-E-R-S. It's just R-O, there's no S at the end. It's fair to say Elliot Rodger had two names. Elliot Rodger, like two first names. It's fair to say that Kohberger and Pappa Rodger were one and the same. It's glaringly obvious now. The debate must end, somebody said. I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting if it turns out it is him at trial. They would probably be able to figure it out. I've never been a good coroner who could make that determination prior to an autopsy. That must be about the weapon. You never been to a crime scene? You've never been to a crime scene. Dude, a stab wound with a large, wide knife is unmistakable and never mistaken as a gunshot wound. And then he says, not true. Once again, Have you seen a wound from a hollow point? Stop. I'm done with amateur. I guess this is that. Then that's Kohberger, that XR thing. I've had this horrible depersonalization go in my life. Like for almost 2 years, I often find myself making simple human interactions, but it is as if I am playing a role-playing game, such as Oblivion. So this was written by Kohberger here. That's him on the left. I can see what is going on. I am slightly into it, but I can pause the game and focus on my real life. In this case, my life is the game, and my old self can be reached by pausing the game. Okay, let me see if I can. Let me try something here. Let's get the chat GPT involved. Transcribe. Let's see. JPEG file. All right. See, it's right there. Isn't that amazing? that program is just...
I've had this horrible depersonalization go on in my life for almost 2 years. I often find myself making simple human interactions, but it is as if I am playing a role-playing game such as Oblivion. I can see what is going on, I am slightly into it, but I can pause the game and focus on my real life. In this case, my life is the game, and my old self can be reached by pausing the game. But how? I often think of things that humans do, things I have done my whole life. I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth, as I am starting to view everyone as this. Everything I have ever done makes no sense. How did things get this way? How am I wearing this shirt, and who decided that humans shall wear shirts like this? Are we all just advanced animals with possession? Or is there more that I can't see? I can't connect. I view everything as I would if I was playing Oblivion, pointless and full of nothing, out of reality. I am moving out of my house. My last holidays were already lived, but where was I? As my family group hugs and celebrates, I am stuck in this void of nothing, feeling completely no emotion, feeling nothing. I feel dirty, like there is dirt inside of my house. My mind, I'm always dizzy and confused. I feel no self-worth. I am intelligent, but I feel the opposite. I say things I don't mean. The last holiday in my house, the house I grew up in, the house I once contributed to, the house I once felt at home in, is past. As I hug my family, I look into their faces. I see nothing. It is like I'm looking at a video game, but less. I feel less than mentally damaged. It is like I have severe brain damage. I am stuck in the depths of my mind, where I have to constantly battle my demons. Am I here or am I fake? I feel myself slipping away. I hear screams faintly, but I constantly battle away from it. What if I let go? Where would I be? Would I ever come back to reality? I try to remember where I originated from, but I can't. I barely remember my childhood. I often fear being 80 years old, alone, and having faint memories of my parents, everything I missed out on. I think about my father, what a good man he is, how I treat him like dirt because I have this condition, and I can't take it. I might spiral out of control and lose myself in the void. I can't let it all go. All of these regrets I predict for my future self. All of these thoughts of remorse. I got this when I was in my stage of discovery. Now I look in the mirror and I see this sick, tired, useless, and stupid man. Inti mirror, he is a complete disgrace. He doesn't even deserve to live. I remember when I was 15, I would wander alone at 2 a.m. Everything was so generic. Nowhere felt like home. I saw things that were not there, a different reality. I felt eerie and alone. I died during those nights. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? I can't talk without flinching now. I used to be this healthy blonde-haired boy with blue eyes, and in a few years I have darker hair and darker eyes, half the body weight. Where did I leave off? I try to sleep, I try to clear my head, but the pressure won't go away. The pain and depression won't leave. Being me is this horrible disease that I was given. I think of this as I succumb to sleep, but I see a large intensity of black, yellow, white fuzz. It makes my mind fizzle and I can barely keep in the bounds of reality. It is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all of the demons in my head mocking me. I fall asleep, but I wake up quickly to bloody screams. Is any of this here? Am I brain damaged? No. Then why am I like this? I have these thoughts all in my head. I search for someone to relate to me. Everyone looks normal. No one can relate. As I read, suddenly my eyes look right through the words. When I look up, I see blue dots near the center of my vision. When I feel slightly calm, it gets hard to breath, and I see bright dots in my vision. Nothing I do is enjoyable. I am blank. I have no opinion. I have no emotion. I have nothing. Can you relate?
I'm gonna have it analyze it. Just red flags. Shit.
Psychological themes. 1. Depersonalization and derealization. The user frequently describes feeling detached from reality, self, and others. It is as if...
Wait, hold on. Let me do the whole thing.
This document is a deeply personal and emotionally intense post, seemingly written by someone struggling with depersonalization disorder and potentially depression or another mental health condition. Here's a breakdown and analysis of the text from a psychological, emotional, and linguistic perspective. Psychological themes. 1. Depersonalization and derealization. The user frequently describes feeling detached from reality, self, and others. It is as if I am playing a role-playing game. I look into their faces, I see nothing. I view everything as I would if I was playing Oblivion. This matches textbook descriptions of depersonalization, derealization disorder, where the person feels disconnected from their thoughts, identity, or surroundings. 2. Identity dissolution, struggles with self-recognition and identity loss. I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. I see this sick, tired, useless, and stupid man in the mirror. Where did I leave off? Indicates a fragmented sense of self, likely worsened by prolonged mental distress. 3. Existential crisis. Questions about humanity and purpose. Are we all just advanced animals with possession? How am I wearing this shirt, and who decided that humans shall wear shirts like this? These philosophical questions reflect existential anxiety, often accompanying depressive or dissociative disorders. 4. Suicidal ideation, hopelessness. Lines such as "he doesn't even deserve to live" and "being me is this horrible disease that I was given" suggest a dangerous level of self-loathing and despair. This writer may be at risk and would benefit from urgent mental health support. Cognitive and emotional patterns, ruminative thought loops, repeated negative self-assessment and regret. All of these regrets I predict for my future self. Negative cognitive bias sees self, others, and the world in an overwhelmingly negative light. Disconnection from time, difficulty distinguishing past and present. I barely remember my childhood. Emotional numbness describes feeling no emotion, being blank, dizzy, confused, and unable to enjoy anything. Linguistic tone and style, stream of consciousness. The post flows in a rapid, sometimes disorganized style, indicative of racing thoughts. Sensory overload, mentions of seeing bright dots, fuzz, and blue dots, and hearing ringing in my ears might relate to anxiety, hallucinations, or sensory processing issues. Powerful imagery uses metaphor and vivid description to depict internal experience, like I am looking at a video game, but less. Red flags, suicidal ideation or self-harm risk, severe identity confusion and possible dissociation, visual distortions or hallucination-like symptoms, social isolation, and lack of connection with others. Recommendations: if this were a support case, immediate mental health support. This individual may benefit from seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, or crisis counselor urgently. Therapy focused on grounding techniques, CBT, and trauma-informed care may help. Medical evaluation. Rule out neurological or physiological causes of symptoms, e.g., brain damage, migraines, visual snow syndrome, etc. Support network.
There you go, see?
Building a support
Visual
group,
snow.
online or in person, could reduce isolation and create space for empathy and healing. Mindfulness and grounding. Techniques to reconnect with the present, breathing, sensory grounding, etc., could ease derealization symptoms.
Alright guys, we have no new channel members again tonight. First time in a long time. Will somebody get some channel memberships? Alright, let's see. We've got... let me see what it says. If this... let's see. Analyze this knowing that Brian Kohberger wrote it. I don't feel any empathy or sadness for Kohberger. I don't have anything. There we go. Moofy's got one. Okay. There we go. At least there's one. And even though it's not a great night, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to get some too. This isn't... I don't have the free ones yet. Maybe I'll just get one tonight. Nah, screw it. I gotta do my normal. Oh, look at that. Ivan Victor did 5. Well, I was gonna do 5 also. So there we go. Now we've got 11. There we go. Alright, let's see what it says about if this is Kohberger. Yeah. While, this is not a judgment of guilt or innocence. Rather, it is an exploration of how this early writings may reflect the internal world. Let's see. Assuming Kohberger is the killer in the Idaho murder case, analyze the writings, if it was written by Kohberger. That wasn't a very good sentence, but Kohberger. All right. Alright. I just want to see what it says. How it would...
Assuming Brian Kohberger is the perpetrator of the Idaho murders, then this writing, allegedly from his teenage years, becomes a chilling early artifact. It would be a precursor to violence, not in a direct, threatening sense, but in the psychological and emotional architecture it reveals. Psychological profile through the lens of retrospective forensic analysis. 1. The birth of a dissociated killer mindset. The dominant theme in the post is dissociation from self, body, others, and reality. It is as if I am playing a role-playing game such as Oblivion. I can pause the game and focus on my real life. He frames reality as a game. This is key. If this belief matured unchallenged, it could allow someone to dehumanize others and emotionally detach from acts of violence. Game logic applied to real life can diminish empathy. Victims become NPCs, the act becomes a mission. This could help rationalize murder as an action rather than a moral choice. 2. Deep alienation and self-objectification. He speaks of himself as if he's not a person. I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. This is not typical depression. It's a depersonalized, mechanistic self-view. The mind is watching the body as an object. In some killers, this detachment from the self is paralleled by detachment from others. It flattens moral boundaries. He also calls himself a disgrace. He doesn't even deserve to live. This level of self-hatred can, in some cases, project outward, especially if the person blames the world for their suffering. It can shift from "I'm broken" to "they made me this way," leading to revenge ideation.
That's kind of like the incels are sort of like that.
3. Foreshadowing obsession with control, power, and intelligence. Kohberger often reportedly saw himself as highly intelligent and misunderstood. That starts here. I am intelligent, but I feel the opposite. He feels trapped in a failing body, losing his mind despite having intelligence. If this cognitive dissonance festers, it could lead to narcissistic rage or violent compensation. I'll show them who I am. Murder, in this hypothetical, becomes a form of intellectual domination, planning, executing, and evading, a test of power over life, self, and others. 4. Visual and sensory distortion, precursors to obsession. I see blue dots near the center of my vision. I see bright dots in my vision. This could be consistent with visual snow syndrome, but in this context, it also signals perceptual instability, a mind unmoored from physical reality, heightened sensory focus, possibly evolving into hypervigilance, paranoia, or obsession. Such cognitive patterns are often present in individuals who overanalyze social dynamics, fixate on injustices or slights, obsessively track people, movements, or rituals. If he stalked the Idaho victims before the attack as alleged, this sensory obsessiveness and perceptual distortion may have laid the groundwork for that. 5. Violent dissociation without explicit violence. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? This line stands out in hindsight. It speaks of a criminal identity formation, emotionally feeling guilty before doing anything, which may prime a person to fulfill that identity later. Couple this with, I can't let it all go, all of these regrets I predict for my future self. There's almost a narrative unfolding, a mind anticipating its own dark path, powerless or unwilling to stop it. Criminological implications. If this writing truly came from Kohberger, and if he committed the Idaho murders, then this post becomes early psychological evidence of the type of mind that can commit a planned, detached, methodical homicide. Here's how. Dehumanization. Everyone feels fake or meaningless to him. Existential collapse. He's numb, blank, desperate for meaning. Nihilism. Nothing I do is enjoyable. I have nothing. Cognitive dissonance. Intelligent but decaying. Self-aware but spiraling. Loss of empathy. He sees faces, but nothing. Self-identificate ion as broken. The label of disease becomes part of identity. All of these traits appear in the backgrounds of certain organized killers who plan meticulously, do not act out of impulse, and exhibit psychological detachment during the act. Conclusion. A window into the origin. Assuming guilt, this writing is not a confession, but it is a blueprint. A blueprint of mental fragmentation, emotional numbness, existential despair, and a profound disconnect from both self and others. It's not violent, but it's the kind of mind from which violence could emerge, if left untreated, ungrounded, and allowed to spiral.
Man, that's pretty crazy, you know? Like, I don't know. It's weird how it can put all that together from... It's pretty wild, gotta be honest. I don't know. What did you guys think of that? I thought it was pretty interesting. Whether it's accurate or not, who the hell knows? Sounded pretty reasonable. I had the similar thoughts when I saw some of these comments that he was making, like this. It's like playing a role game such as Oblivion, and I feel like I'm an organic sack of meat, etc. It's pretty interesting, though. What's a follow-up question? Anybody? What did it want me to ask at the bottom? Would you like this constructed as a formal report or compared side by side with elements from the crime scene and case details? Yeah. Compare. Here. I want to do that. Psychological, let's see. Does it read it correctly? How would it read this? Let me see. How would it do that?
Category 2011 Writing Themes. Assuming Kohberger authored at Idaho crime scene. Case details. Assuming guilt. Psychological dissociation. Describes life as a video game or simulation. I see nothing. Like looking at a video game but less. Detachment from body, emotions, identity. Killer showed extreme emotional detachment during and after the murders. Surviving roommate saw a masked figure walk calmly past her, without speaking, suggesting psychological distance or compartmentalization. methodical escape, no impulsive or chaotic behavior, perception of others as unreal or meaningless.
I view everything, pointless and full of nothing. I look into their faces.
I see nothing.
Wow.
Victims may have been chosen as symbolic targets, not personal ones, suggesting objectification or dehumanization. No confirmed personal relationship between Kohberger and the victims. Control. Surveillance and planning urges references pause the game, desire to control reality, paranoia about future self and memory loss. I try to remember where I originated from, but I can't. Allegedly stalked victims for weeks using phone pings. Turned off phone during crime, suggests awareness of surveillance. Allegedly returned to crime scene next morning, possibly to relive or control narrative. Emotional. Numbness, need to feel something. I feel nothing. I am blank. I have no opinion. Describes feeling dead inside like a ghost. Killing may have served as a catalyst to feel something, common in nihilistic, emotionally numb offenders. Number of stab wounds suggests overkill or overcompensation, potentially to break through emotional detachment. Obsession. With identity and transformation. I used to be this healthy blonde-haired boy. Then describes transformation. Darker hair, thin, unrecognizable. Self-loathing and identity collapse. Kohberger reportedly lost significant weight in adulthood. Was described as socially awkward, changing personality post-high school. Possible construction of a new identity, including the criminology student studying criminal minds, mirroring transformation themes in writing. Internalized, violence and criminal identification. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? He doesn't even deserve to live. Deep, self-directed hatred. He allegedly studied violent criminals, wrote about emotions and psychological traits experienced during the commission of a crime. May have identified with criminal archetypes internally years before acting out. Alleged use of bar knife, a symbolically violent military-style weapon. Potentially chosen for ritualistic or identity-affirming reasons. Meticulous versus impulsive personality. Writing is long, introspective, methodical, hyper-focus on detail, self-analysis. Crime was highly planned, car scenes circling neighborhood repeatedly. Entry and exit carefully timed. Clothing, black mask, gloves planned. Phone turned off during killings. Intellectualization of pain, being me is this horrible disease I was given. Describes self-awareness of mental decline, brain fizzling, tries to analyze himself into healing. Obtained a master's in criminology. Allegedly posted surveys online asking criminals how they felt during crimes. Pathologizing pain rather than processing it, similar to writing style. Need for meaning, relatability, and legacy. Ends with, can you relate? Seeks connection but feels completely alien. If guilty, the act could serve as an attempt to imprint himself onto the world, forcing people to see and study him. Killer left a knife sheath at the scene, allegedly. Could be symbolic or unintentional calling card. Potential narcissistic, need to be understood by the same system he studied. Interpretation, if this was a psychological progression. The 2011 writing could be seen as stage 1, inner collapse and alienation, filled with dissociation, identity fragmentation, self-hatred, obsessive thought loops. Then over a decade, these traits may have intensified, compounded by isolation, academic focus on crime without healing, failed attempts at connection or control, leading to stage 2, externalization, projecting internal decay outward via calculated violence. This comparison does not prove guilt, but it illustrates a continuum of thought and pathology. If Kohberger committed the Idaho murders, this post would be a disturbing early insight into the inner workings of a deeply fragmented, methodical, and emotionally detached mind, possibly training itself for violence. Would you like a formal written report of this breakdown, PDF style, or a visual timeline of psychological evolution based on this writing?
That's all right. All right. Well, how long have I been on here? Yeah, I've got 2 hours in. Anyways, I'm going to get going here. I want to say thanks to... I hope you guys found that interesting. I thought that was pretty crazy. You know, that's something he wrote, and you put it on there, and it sounds like he's... You know? So, anyways, all right. Thank you to... got to 50% of the goal. Not too bad. Thanks, K-Me, Alley Cake, Carrie Little, Alley Cake, Emily Marie, Heart Shaped Box, Jax D, Van Dana, Dale. I gotta get up early, so I gotta get out of here. Michelle H, Alley Cake, RDW, WDR, I'm a DNA Detective, Ivan Victor, Shelly Ann, GSU PM, Alley Cake, Lisa L, 18 months, Ivan Victor, 18 months, Moofies, then Ivan Victor gifted 5, and then I gifted 5. All right. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you guys. Tomorrow's our donation night, so make sure to show up. For the first hour, we have one last push and then donate thousands of dollars to various true crime related charities, etc. I guess tomorrow we'll do one that's not really true crime related, but there you go. And so far we've given $99,500 to the DNA fund. I just got the update, so but after tomorrow we'll be over 100,000. All right. So thanks for everybody being here. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Oh, and also thank you to, let's see, got Ted Bundy, Lisa Valenzuela, Carrie, became a new monthly supporter, very cool. And also, just says someone on coffee, don't know the name. But thank you.
I have a temper fucking check. I have no agenda. I'm no pretender. And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
All right. We gotta be moving my parents tomorrow, so hopefully everything works out. See you guys later.